Hello pioneers, welcome back to Satisfactory. I actually had been putting off recording this episode because, to be honest, Aluminium can be a little temperamental and prone to just bugging out for no apparent reason. But why don't I just fire it up and hopefully it will keep going, at least long enough for me to explain what's happening. So, aluminium. Now I like to use alternate recipes for aluminium. I won't go into great detail about the defaults because I'm not really that familiar with them. First of all, I like to use the alumina solution. Now that requires some bauxite and some water. Now you'll notice a couple of water pipes. We'll explain that in a sec. Anyway, bauxite and the water comes in here, makes our alumina solution. And then that pumps directly into another thing here, alumina solution with some coal that makes aluminium scrap and water. Now this is an interesting. We've discussed byproducts before, but now we're actually getting into we can actually recycle them. So this produces well. I've got it running at half rate, but it's going to be producing 60 water a minute, and I'll pump that back to here. Or pipe it back, not. This needs 100 water a minute. So we've got the 60 water from there. That means if I come down over here, this is only creating 40 water a minute. I don't need to have it running on full. So that the 60 and the 40, that totals the 100. Nicely uses up all the water without me having to try and figure out how to deal with the waste byproduct. So this is starting to go. This will obviously fill up later as the water starts coming back through this pipe. Now I have a valve here because fluids tend to slosh. If I didn't have the valve, the water from the pump there, the extractor, would come here, half of it would go into there and half of it would try to go down that pipe. It would end up blocking itself and just being a pain, and that is kind of the main reason why aluminium can sometimes bug out. Anyway, we've got our alumina solution coming in here. The coal, you can see the miner just over there behind the bean. But it hasn't got here yet. How far away is it? Well, it's not too far away. Okay, now, while we're waiting for this to get through, I'll just explain why I've got it running at half rate. The simple reason is because this is just for storage. You don't really make a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of buildings, I should say, specifically, with aluminium products. The sheets are used for Mark V belts, and the casings are used in blenders, and I can't remember, I think drone ports use some as well, but I'm probably not going to be using drones in this particular save. Is that the sun coming up? So I don't need a whole lot to go into storage. Running at half rate doesn't really matter. I could run it at full. I just chose to run it at half. The numbers work out nicely. So, yeah. Right, our coal is just about here now. And there we go. So now you can see the water here. Coming back through this pipe, and once it sort of normalizes, then this will be getting its full 100 water, and its efficiency will head back up to full. So anyway, there goes our scrap. And 180 scrap coming into our smelters. Each of them takes 60 and produces 30 ingots. Just a simple manifold. As I was talking about before, this is just for storage, so I'm not going to bother expanding. It's highly unlikely I'm ever going to expand it. So I haven't worried too much about the normal way of building things ready for expansion. Here we go, we've got our ingots coming out. That's 90 ingots in total per minute. And whoops, I forgot to pelt that in. That needs 60. That was silly. But anyway, up here, as I saw, 60 ingots here. This is down to 2/3 because I'm really not going to need more than 40 a minute. And over here, this is making the sheets, so that's the other 30 there. Sheets also need 10 copper ingots per minute. That is coming from way over there. You can see that little platform just down there. That is the closest copper node. That's another reason why aluminium is kind of annoying. That's all the way there, all the way under here, and up through that right there to make our sheets. It's actually a bit of a waste of, that's a pure node. And with Mark II miners, without overclocking, that's 120 a minute. I'm only using 10. So but never mind, if I need more copper, I can just split it off. That's not a big deal. Anyway, this is now working. We're getting stuff into storage. As I said, aluminium can be temperamental. It may stop working at some point. If it does, it's almost always a case of the water's not set up properly and I'd have to flush it out. And it'll start working again for a short period and then stop. But also make sure you've got your splitters set up so the overflow will be sunk, otherwise things will back up and everything will stop. Let's actually have a look and see if this has hit 100% yet, because that pipe's full. So that looks like it's getting all the water it needs. And that's running at 100%. So for now, at least, that's all working. Yeah, it's technical issues aside, as in pipes not necessarily working how they should. It's not super difficult to set up aluminium. I think I forgot to mention that the recipe I'm using here is also an old recipe. Aluminium scrap. Alumina solution, there are these. The main reason to use sloppy alumina is to get rid of silica out of the equation completely, otherwise you've got to deal with that. And if we also have a look for what is it? Aluminium scrap. Oh, they did spell aluminium. I'm sure they always used to spell it aluminum. Never mind. Again, this is the standard recipe. It takes... and... oh, this is the normal one, okay? The alternate recipe uses the petroleum coke. But that would add oil into the recipe, and I don't want to do that. I think there's another one, but I electrode something or other. I can't remember what that does. Ah, yes, sorry. I remember the other alternate recipe I'm using is actually in the smelters. Here it's the pure aluminium ingot alternate recipe. So those two alternate recipes I find, the sloppy alumina and the pure ingot, they just simplify it. You only need bauxite, coal and water for the ingots, plus some copper if you need to make some sheets. That's it. And that is aluminium. So as long as it keeps working, I can unlock all the rest of it. That's basically the final low-level materials you need. Everything else is basically just combinations of everything we've already done. So I guess that's it for this episode. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again in the next one.